In today's video, we have three major topics we're going to talk about in regards to All Elite Wrestling. Some very interesting comments made by Tony Khan, clearly going to change the game of how AEW does business going forward, and I think everybody's going to be pretty interested. So make sure you guys watch the video in its entirety, drop a like, leave a comment down below, and as always, click that subscribe button, ring the bell, and this way you get notified on all the latest content. We're going to talk about it right here, right now, on Destination PW. AEW has officially confirmed a new roster member. AEW has a little bit of heat with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and on top of that, the War Games match is coming to All Elite Wrestling, and I have some very interesting thoughts on all three subjects, and honestly, I think a lot of people might be upset with what I have to say when it comes to War Games, but you're going to have to wait for that. So we have talked about this a couple months ago, especially on the channel. AEW has signed Colt Cabana. It was officially confirmed yesterday at the post AEW Revolution media scrums. Tony Khan had some very interesting words to say, and while this may not be breaking news for many of you, there are some breaking developments, and honestly, I have some interesting thoughts of what this is going to tie into bigger picture. And right now, basically what we know is that AEW has signed Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana will be wrestling for AEW. Colt Cabana will be commentating for AEW. In addition to all those things right there, Colt Cabana will be working in a backstage capacity. So he's going to be working as like a coach, development, agent type of thing. And quite honestly, I think that's where he's really going to be an asset to the company. But I also think what's interesting here is that Colt Cabana could do something very similar to what Marty Scurll could do for ROH, and that is the building the bridge, building the relationships. What's very, very interesting here is Colt Cabana is signing to AEW, but Tony Khan did confirm last night that Colt Cabana could work at other places with Tony Khan's discretion. Of course, we know Colt Cabana's kind of been doing things for a while everywhere, and we have seen him on AEW. We have seen him on NWA as well as ROH. One has to think that Colt Cabana could be an additional asset in regards to helping build that bridge between all three companies. NWA, AEW, ROH, they have something very interesting that can happen if they just come together. And with the idea of New Japan and AEW not working together, which we're going to talk about in just a second, it almost makes sense for everybody involved. NWA specifically has the most to gain out of this relationship, but they have some great wrestlers. They have great championship belts. They have great concepts, great ideas. AEW could benefit from having that. Having a talent exchange definitely helps. Having the NWA championship on TV definitely helps, especially since your mid-card belt isn't on TV. The AEW World Championship, NWA Championship, title versus title. There's a lot of stuff you could do. So that brings me to New Japan and AEW. Right now, there is heat on New Japan, and it's a very interesting relationship. Very, 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 very interesting, because quite honestly, nobody really knows what to expect. This entire time, it's been said that New Japan would be working with AEW at some point, and AEW has been very, very kind to New Japan. They've been very fair to New Japan. Obviously, Jon Moxley, and obviously, you have Chris Jericho working in New Japan. But what's really interesting is New Japan at this point seems to be pretty upset, because these guys that went to AEW, obviously being the Elite, the group, the Elite, came to AEW and created AEW and started competing with New Japan, and they've just been sour ever since. And basically, Tony Khan confirmed last night during these media scrums, he basically said, New Japan should thank him at this point. Thank me for everything I've done for you, because he's not getting anything in return. And he said some things about New Japan, and you could kind of tell he was backtracking a little bit, as he should have, and I think he handled the response perfectly. A lot of people are expecting New Japan and AEW to work together, but it's just not going to happen. At this point, I don't see it happening in the foreseeable future. AEW signing Lance Archer, I think, takes even more reasons for New Japan to be upset. All AEW wants is some people in exchange at this point. They're not asking for anything crazy. I think everybody's been pretty adamant about AEW and New Japan not having a super show. So I think just having a talent exchange is fine. I think, New Japan, and Tony Khan obviously mentioned this too, but New Japan has done a good job with the handling of the AEW talent. AEW feels like they could establish that trust with New Japan so they could do the same. But New Japan's very weird, man. They, like, as much as I like NJPW, it has gotten to the point where it's almost questionable. Like, AEW literally has national TV exposure in the United States. Why aren't you making some of these dream matches happen? The way Tony Khan is as a business person, he's very fan oriented. So I think he wouldn't even have a problem with some of his guys taking a loss against New Japan. It's just really weird. There's a lot of heat on New Japan right now, back and forth. A lot of things, honestly, it's just really chaotic. And the only way to really settle it is put them in a War Games match. Or in this case, Blood and Guts. All right? What a perfect segue into the next topic, the final topic of today's video. And you guys may not like what I have to say about this, but I'm just going to shoot straight and be honest. I'm not saying this to be controversial. I'm not saying this to get people commenting, and, I'm not looking for a social media clip or anything like that. I just have some things to say about War Games. And some people may or may not agree. I really don't know what to expect here. But AEW is going to have a special branded episode of Dynamite, which will be called Blood and Guts. On this event, it's going to happen 24 days away from now. It's going to happen on March 25th. It is going to be a Blood and Guts match, which obviously is a War Games match. They confirmed this. Tony Khan admittedly said that he'll never use the term War Games. Obviously, we all know the reason for that, legal reasons. But Tony Khan, he's a huge fan of the match. A lot of people are predicting it's going to be the Elite versus the Inner Circle. I think that's the way to do it, in all honesty. I think that could be a very, very good way of doing the match. But this match is going to take place live for free on TV, which is a very, very big thing for AEW to do, because we saw what they did with Bash at the Beach. These themed episodes for TV just kind of give it like a pay-per-view vibe, but it's just so incredible. TNA does it, or Impact, they do it, and it's a really good concept. Now, here is my problem. The War Games match in 2020, 2019, 2018, at this point, it is just simply played out, okay? We've seen WWE do it with NXT. We've seen MLW do it as well, and now AEW is doing it. This match type is a very, very cool concept, but what makes it so cool and so special is the fact that you don't see it often. AEW, obviously, understandably, I get it. I know why they're doing it. I understand. And to me, War Games was way bigger than any other gimmick match. Like, I don't think Hell in a Cell and Elimination Chamber and all of those matches, I still don't think they're as special as War Games because of how long it took to see War Games actually return back to television on a major wrestling promotion. So, of course, WWE starts doing War Games every year now with TakeOver, and the concept has been cool, but the production of this stuff is incredibly difficult to deal with. And what I mean by that is from the viewing experience. If you are a fan in the live arena, it is very, very difficult to watch an entire show when there's two rings next to each other with a big cage. Let alone, even if the cage is not up there, it is still very difficult for your viewing experience. So I don't like the idea of this match coming back to every company that's out there. I think what was really interesting about Impact at the time, they created something called Lethal Lockdown. And what an interesting concept. It was so different, yet it's kind of like your favorite things about Hell in a Cell and War Games all into one. And, it's got its pros and cons, obviously. But I think the War Games match coming to AEW, I think it'll be cool because I love what AEW is doing. I have no problem with them doing it. But to say that this is a special match type at this point, I don't think so anymore. I think it's lost a little bit of that specialty. I think a lot of people will disagree with me here, but I honestly just feel that way. I think it's just lost a little bit of that specialty. And because of that, I'm just waiting for all these other companies to do it. I'm waiting for WWE to do it for their main roster. I don't hate the match. The funny thing is I love the match, but it's almost like Hell in a Cell and Elimination Chamber. You see it every year. It loses that importance to me. So that's just kind of the way it is. Tony Khan did confirm it's happening March 25th at the Prudential Center, already sold out. Going to be an amazing show. It's going to be a sick match. Inner Circle versus the Elite. That's my opinion. I think that's the match you have to do. But I'm excited to see what happens either way. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. All 3 news topics. Very, very interesting stuff. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And I will see you guys next time right here on DPW.